Hello students. Yesterday we have started the central nervous system, and we have discussed about the natural opium alkaloids, in which we were discussing about the morphine. So pharmacological actions of morphine have been completed. Its pharmacokinetics, side effects, drug interaction, and contraindications have been completed in the last chapter. So today we will start from the treatment of overdose or poisoning of the morphine hydrochloride. So students, if a drug has been taken by mouth, uh, stomach should be washed out. 0.2% potassium permanganate solution should be used for the washing of the stomach. Administer injection naloxone, uh, which is available under the brand name of Nalox. Artificial respiration oxygen inhalation can should also be given to the patient. So it was the treatment of the overdose or poisoning of the morphine hydrochloride. So also there are several therapeutic uses of the morphine hydrochloride. So the main therapeutic use of morphine is to relieve severe pain. So it is used in the severe pain, like in the pain of surgery. So that's why it is used as a pre-operative medicine. It is given to the patient. What is pre-operative medicine? It is a medicine which is given to the patient just before the surgery. So morphine is useful in checking or treating the diarrhea, and morphine is used in surgical hemorrhage, and the blood pressure is lowered, bleeding is decreased. So morphine is useful in curing dry cough, non-productive cough, and not respondent to codeine. So morphine is useful as a hypnotic. So next is through morphine is a useful drug, yet its major drawback to use of drug is that there is a danger of addiction of the morphine. So this was all about the morphine. So next drug is codeine. So what is codeine? It is a opium alkaloid which is qualitatively similar to morphine, but it is less potent than morphine. So it is a standard antitussive drug which is used to suppress the cough for about 6 hours. So the main side effect of codeine is that it causes constipation. So when codeine is administered in higher doses, it causes respiratory depression and drowsiness occurs, due to which driving and heavy machinery work may be impaired. So it should not be advised to asthmatic patients. So next there is a heroin which is called diacetylmorphine. It is also semi-synthetic opium alkaloid. So in case of heroin, it is a semi-synthetic derivative of morphine. So it is more potent analgesic than morphine, and it produces euphoria and produces severe addiction. So what is if there is a question comes in the exam, what is the severe addiction of the heroin? Sorry, what is the main disadvantage of the heroin? Severe addiction should be ulcer. So it has no therapeutic uses. more than morphine. So it has been banned in our country, and most of other countries it is also banned. So there is only heroin in the semi-synthetic opium alkaloids. Next is synthetic opium alkaloids. In case of synthetic opium alkaloids, first drug is pethidine hydrochloride. So pethidine hydrochloride is a synthetic narcotic analgesic. So it is an odorless white crystalline powder. Uh, White crystalline powder having a bitter in taste. So it is soluble in water, and it is readily distributed to throughout the body tissues. So pethidine has analgesic, sedative, spasmolytic, and local anesthetic action. So pethidine is used to relieve severe type of pains. So intramuscular injection is more effective than oral dose, and intravenous injection produces undesirable effects. So intramuscular injection produces an effect in 10 to 15 minutes. So the effect lasts for 2 to 5 hours duration. So next is mechanism of action. So it depresses pain impulse by interacting with opioid receptors at the spinal cord level. So next is pharmacokinetics. So if pethidine hydrochloride is given orally, onset of action is 15 minutes. So if pethidine hydrochloride is given by injection, which is intramuscular or subcutaneous, onset of action is 10 minutes. Peak concentration half half hour to or 30 minutes to 1 hour, and duration of action is 2 to 4 hours. If pethidine hydrochloride is given IV, onset of action is 10 minutes and duration of action is 2 hours. Half-life of pethidine hydrochloride is 3 to 4 hours. It is metabolized by liver, excreted by kidneys, excreted in breast milk, and also it crosses the placenta. So what are the side effects of the pethidine hydrochloride? It can cause sedation, headache, drowsiness, euphoria, palpitation, change in blood pressure, bradycardia, blurred vision, myosis, diplopia, vomiting, nausea, anorexia, constipation, cramps, urinary retention, urticaria, rash, flushing, respiratory depression, and addiction. So next is drug interactions. So increased effect with CNS depressants, alcohol, narcotics, chlorpromazine, and monoamine oxidase inhibitor, sedatives, and antipsychotics. So next is contraindications: hypersensitivity, addiction, pregnancy, lactation, respiratory depression. And what is the treatment of overdose? Naloxone injection of naloxone 0.2 to 0.8 mg intravenously, medical oxygen gas inhalation and vasopressors, and also the IV fluids. So next we are going to start the NSAIDs, which are called non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So the non-narcotic analgesics are the drugs which remove pain and do not cause sedation. That is, these drugs do not depress central nervous system. So these drugs, in addition to their analgesic effect, have antipyretic and anti-inflammatory properties. So these drugs are named an analgesic antipyretic drugs. So these drugs are also called as non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. So next there is a term antipyretics. So what is the meaning of the antipyretics? These are the drugs which are used to reduce the elevated body temperature. And also, what is the meaning of term anti-inflammatory drugs? So these are the drugs which produce symptomatic relief from inflammation, which is also called swelling, along with relief from pain. So let's say relieve dull itching pain of low intensity, and they are not useful in visceral pain. So on the basis of chemical structures, they are classified into various classes. First class of NSAID is salicylates. Salicylates include aspirin, sodium salicylate, and methyl salicylate. Next class is para-aminophenol derivatives. Para-aminophenol derivatives include paracetamol and phenacetin. So next class of NSAID is pyrazolone derivatives. It includes phenylbutazone, azapropazone, and oxyphenbutazone. So next is anthranilic acid derivatives, which includes mefenamic acid, flufenamic acid. Next class is propionoic acid derivatives, which includes ibuprofen, ketoprofen, carprofen, and naproxen. Next is oxycam derivatives. It includes piroxicam. Next is indole acetic acid derivatives, which have indomethacin. And in case of miscellaneous drugs, diclofenac sodium. Now if it comes to the salicylates, pharmacological actions of salicylates are antipyretic action, anti-inflammatory and anti-rheumatic effect, analgesic action, action on respiratory system, action on blood, action on skin, uricosuric effect, action on cardiovascular system, immunological effects, action on gastrointestinal tract, and action of endocrine glands. So now if we discuss about the pharmacological actions in detail, first of all we will discuss about the antipyretic action. So as you know, what are the antipyretics? Antipyretics are the drugs which are used to reduce the elevated body temperature. Also, and one more thing about the antipyretics, they do not lower the normal body temperature. So they bring down elevated body temperature to normal body temperature by the following mechanism. The salicylates produces sweating, due to which the elevated body temperature is lowered. So the hypothalamic heat regulating center is set for high temperature in fever. So the salicylates reset hypothalamic center to lower the elevated temperature to normal body temperature. So next is anti-inflammatory and anti-rheumatic effect. So salicylates have powerful anti-rheumatic effects. So this effect is produced by reducing inflammation and pain of joints. So third is analgesic action. In case of analgesic action, salicylates do not relieve severe pain. They act by inhibiting pain sensation in the thalamus. They do not change emotional reaction of pain. Salicylates are effective only in dull pain of low intensity. Next is the action on respiratory system. So the salicylates stimulate respiration by directly stimulating the respiratory system and indirectly through carbon dioxide, reducing and increased oxygen utilization by skeletal muscles. So its action on blood are the salicylates lower erythrocytic sedimentation rate, which is also called ESR, which is raised in rheumatic fever. So the salicylates lower prothrombin plasma level. So next is action on skin. So salicylates, methyl salicylate and salicylic acid have fungistatic, keratolytic and antiseptic effect and are used locally for treatment of skin infections and diseases. So next is uricosuric effect. So salicylates increase the excretion of uric acid. So the salicylates action on uric acid depends on the dose of the salicylates. So salicylates in a dose of 3 gram per day block tubular secretion of uric acid and it raises blood uric acid level. So in 5 gram or above daily dose, it prevents reabsorption of uric acid and increases its excretion. So in higher doses, salicylates act as uricosuric and in low doses cause retention of uric acid. So now if we look at the action on cardiovascular system, so normal dose of salicylates has no effect on heart. In higher doses, it can cause paralysis of vasomotor center. So now if it comes to the immunological effects, salicylates inhibit the antigen antibody reaction and prevent the release of histamine. So next is action on gastrointestinal tract. So when administered or taken by patient empty stomach, salicylates can cause gastric ulceration and intestinal bleeding. So salicylates produce nausea and vomiting due to stimulation of CTZ, which is also called chemoreceptor trigger zone. Next is action of endocrine glands. So salicylates activate release of adrenaline from adrenal medulla, also stimulate release of adrenocorticotropic hormones, which is also called ACTH. So the salicylate interferes with binding of thyroxine with plasma proteins. The free thyroxine depresses the secretion of TSH, which is called thyroid stimulating hormone. Also salicylates produces hyperglycemia and glycosuria. Now what are the adverse effects of salicylates? Salicylates cause gastrointestinal disturbance like nausea, vomiting, ulceration, perforation, and gastric hemorrhage. It also causes bone marrow depression, leading to aplastic anemia, a granulocytosis intolerance leads to rash urticaria. So, in large dose, salicylism is developed, characterized by lethargy, confusion, tinnitus, hearing loss, headache. As salicylates increases breakdown of fatty acids, so there is fatty infiltration of liver and kidneys. So next is uses of salicylates. Salicylate act as an antipyretic in case of fever. uh, as an analgesic used to alleviate mild pain to moderate pain. Salicylates are used as an anti-rheumatic drug, and they are used locally as fungistatic, keratolytic, and antiseptic. So methyl salicylate and salicylic acid, they are used in ointment for local application to the skin. So students, that is all for the day. uh, Tomorrow we will discuss about the salicylates, about and other classifications in detail. So thank you so much.